When the leaders of Iran and the United States meet, the world pays attention. This time, they're gathering in Geneva, Switzerland. The city is famous for hosting important talks and peace efforts. Now, it's the stage for a new showdown between two countries with a long, complicated history. Geneva's peaceful setting doesn't mean the talks will be easy. Both Iran and the United States have reasons to be nervous. The Middle East is full of tensions, and what happens in these talks could affect millions of people. Other countries are watching closely, hoping for a peaceful outcome. This meeting is about more than just Iran and the United States. It's about nuclear weapons, sanctions, oil, and security for the whole region. If the talks go well, we could see less conflict. If they fail, things could get much worse, not just for Iran and America, but for everyone nearby. Why are these talks happening now? Iran's nuclear program has advanced rapidly, and many fear it's closer than ever to building a nuclear weapon. The US and its allies see this as a serious threat and have increased pressure with new sanctions hurting Iran's economy. Iran is struggling and wants relief. Both sides know talking is better than fighting, so they're meeting in Geneva to find common ground. The world is watching. These talks could lead to peace or make things worse. Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi is showing a more hopeful face to the world. He says Iran wants peace, not war. Raisi insists Iran's nuclear program is for energy and medicine, not bombs. He wants to prove Iran can be trusted. If Iran agrees to limits, he hopes sanctions will be lifted, bringing more jobs and better lives for Iranians. But Raisi is firm. Iran will not give up its right to nuclear energy. If these talks succeed, Raisi could become a hero at home. These talks are not just between Iran and the United States. Other countries and diplomats are involved too. The European Union is helping to organize the meetings. Russia and China are also in the background, watching closely and sometimes offering advice. One very important country is Oman. Oman is a small country in the Gulf, but it has a big reputation for helping with peace talks. In the past, Oman has helped Iran and the United States talk to each other, even when they didn't want to meet face-to-face. Now, Oman is acting as a bridge, carrying messages and trying to help both sides understand each other. Oman's leaders believe that talking is always better than fighting. They hope to keep the talks moving, even when things get tense. The world respects Oman for staying neutral and wanting peace. Other countries like France, Germany, and the United Kingdom are also involved. They want to make sure any deal is strong and fair. The talks in Geneva are truly international, with many voices trying to help. The United States says it wants to solve this crisis through diplomacy. That means talking, not fighting. President Biden's government believes that if Iran agrees to slow down its nuclear program, the United States can reduce pressure and maybe lift some sanctions. However, the United States isn't just talking. At the same time, it is building up its military presence in the Middle East. American warships and troops are close by. The United States says this is only a warning, to show Iran it is serious. American officials know that some people in Washington want a harder approach, but they say that real peace can only come through negotiations. They also want to reassure allies like Israel and Saudi Arabia that the United States will not let Iran become a nuclear power. For now, the United States is walking a fine line, showing strength, but hoping for a peaceful solution. It's a risky strategy. but leaders hope it will convince Iran to make a deal. Sanctions are, honestly, one of the most powerful tools the United States has. The new sanctions announced just before the Geneva talks are some of the toughest yet. They target Iran's oil exports, which are, a major source of money for the country. But oil isn't the only target. The United States is also cracking down on Iran's missile and drone programs. These weapons worry many countries because they could be used in future conflicts. By stopping companies and people who help Iran build or sell these weapons, the United States hopes to slow down Iran's military growth. Sanctions work by making it hard for Iran to sell its oil, buy important technology, and move money around the world. This puts pressure on Iran's government, but it also hurts ordinary people, who face higher prices and fewer jobs. The United States says these sanctions will only end if Iran agrees to limits on its nuclear and military activities. For now, sanctions are a big part of America's game plan. Iran's leaders are definitely not happy about the new sanctions. They say the United States is using economic warfare to punish the Iranian people. Iranian officials argue that their nuclear program is peaceful and that they have the right to use nuclear energy, just like other countries. Iran also warns that if the United States or its allies attack, they will strike back. Iranian leaders have threatened American military bases in the Middle East if there is any sign of war. They want the world to know that Iran is not weak and will defend itself. At the same time, Iran is trying to show it is open to negotiation. Officials repeat that they want peace, but only a fair deal that respects their rights. They believe the United States should lift sanctions first to prove it is serious about peace. This back and forth makes the talks in Geneva very tense. Both sides are trying to look strong, but also leave room for compromise. Other countries in the Middle East are watching the Geneva talks very closely. Israel, for example, is deeply worried about Iran's nuclear program. Israeli leaders say they will do whatever it takes to stop Iran from getting a nuclear bomb, even if it means acting alone. Israel has also sent warnings to Lebanon, where the group Hezbollah is based. Hezbollah is supported by Iran and has a large stockpile of rockets. If the talks fail and tensions rise, there is a real risk of fighting breaking out between Israel and Hezbollah. In Lebanon, people fear their country could be caught in the middle. Hezbollah says it is ready to defend Lebanon if Israel attacks. Other countries, like Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, are also worried. They want peace, but they fear Iran's growing power. The whole region is on edge. Everyone hopes for a deal in Geneva, because the alternative could be war. As the Geneva talks continue, everyone is asking the same question. Will there be a breakthrough or more conflict? If Iran and the United States can agree, we could see fewer sanctions, more trade, and less risk of war. That would be good news for the whole world. But if the talks fail, the situation could get much worse. Iran might push ahead with its nuclear plans. The United States might tighten sanctions or even use force. Other countries could be drawn into a bigger conflict. The future is, honestly, uncertain. That's why the world's eyes are on Geneva. Every word, handshake, and decision could shape the Middle East for years to come. For now, all we can do is watch, hope, and wait for news from the negotiating table.